Hey, everybody, this is Frankie Dranks, and this is the inaugural Leaf and Dram podcast. So, my friend Julio, thank you for being
How
my
are
first
you?
guest, man. It's been way too long, and
My
I'm
pleasure.
super excited to have you here today.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Oh man, I've been we've been waiting to have you for on the show for so long on Sticks and Sips, and finally we get the chance because you're here, but you're busy working, and we know how hard that is. But today we get an opportunity.
Always traveling as well
Yes,
and busy, but
and busy,
finally here, so
but
we can
finally here,
we can make it happen.
and happy National Daiquiri Day.
Happy National Daiquiri Day today.
But we're going to talk a little bit about the mojito today.
Yeah.
But maybe the next time we'll talk about a daiquiri
Perfect. Sounds
or
good. Sounds good.
daiquiri as
Daiquiri.
the way we should say it. So for everyone out there doesn't know you, Julio, he's kind of like the founding member of the Cantinero movement in the United States. He's the 2019 Tales of the Cocktail Bartender of the Year. I'm honored to have like two friends that have been named Bartender of the Year.
Yeah.
You and Mr. Joaquin Simo too,
Joaquin Simo,
which is
yeah.
always very
Uh-huh.
nice. So I'm very blessed to know you.
Which year? Joaquin Simo?
2013, right?
11.
11. Was it 11 or 12?
11.
11. So wow, a lot of time. My God, my time flies.
12. Yeah, 12. Yeah.
12. I knew it was 11 or
Yeah,
13,
12,
but
12.
We agree to 12. It is.
Yeah.
So, and in 2019, you opened this beautiful spot, Cafe La Trova. And I'm going to say, because you probably won't, but it's number 28 best bar in the world, number 6 best bar in North America.
In North America. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
I
happy.
only hang out at the best places. So everyone that knows me knows that. And today we're going to talk a little bit about cigars. We're going to talk about booze. We're going to talk about all different things. So
Everything we love.
everything we love. And one of the first things I want people to get to know Julio. So Julio, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Coming from Cuba 16 years ago, I came here to Miami with 42 years old, coming from different. Yeah, before coming here, I went to Italy for 4 years, and then I went to Mexico a couple of years. So after that, I came here to Miami in 2006, and I started as a bartender as well. I was doing it in Cuba and all those countries for 16 years already. But here in Miami, I started from zero again. Building my career again, and thanks God, everything went well, and I had the opportunity to work with a lot of people, with Michelle and David, opening Senor Martinez at that time, one of the first mixology bars here in Miami, and then with John LeMayer and all the great bartenders at the Region Cocktail Club, where you used to go very
Yes.
often. So the Region Cocktail Club was, for me, the best bar in Miami, one of the best in the country.
And the Havana nights there
Havana nights
were amazing.
Yeah, and I learned a lot, and I had the opportunity to uh, find myself again as a bartender here in this country. So until I decided to open my own concept and my own product, and with all the ideas I had pretty much from my background and my roots from Cuba, so that's why I opened Cafe La Trova, and here we are.
Man, here that's a really short version of all the things that you've accomplished. Because one of the main things I got to meet you. Shout out to my friend David Ortiz, and who still to this day talks about the time that he worked with you and Freddie Diaz.
Yeah,
and
before that,
and your time at Senora Martinez, and then your time at Regent, which was to me it really changed a lot for Miami, because
Yep.
we thought we knew Cuban cocktails. We didn't know the whole story,
Yep.
and you helped to bring that. We did it every week, right? We did have Havana nights every week.
Yeah, no, every week, every Wednesday, and as you said, it's much more than Cuban cocktails, because everybody, some people knew about the Cuban cocktail, but they didn't know everything around the Cuban cocktail, the passion and everything that show behind all that.
Right.
Is if you bring Cuban cocktail, you should bring a little bit more as well. So we were showcasing Cuban cocktails at the Region Cocktail Club, but it was much more. It was the traditional Cuban, the guayaberas, the dominos, the food, the cigars.
The
So
music.
it was everything that is important for Cuban people
Right.
that night happening there.
And
So-
the music,
and the music,
and the dancing,
and
So,
everything.
everything.
It was everything about Cuba that night, and that's why we decided to open La Trova. and
And
instead of Wednesday night is every
every
day.
night, every night. So if you guys are coming to Miami, you are near Little Havana. You got to come to Little Havana first of all. You know, you got to experience it. Julio, when they said you're gonna open a Cuban place on in Calle Ocho, we knew automatically it was gonna be the best one, best food, best music, best experience for everybody.
Authentic, at
Authentic.
least
So
authentic.
let me ask you a question. Let's talk a little bit about what a cantinero is. I mean, it's not just being a bartender. It's like a little step above, right?
Yes, yeah. Cantineros is the style of bartending that we use in Cuba for more than 120 years. I mean, since early 1900, 1900,
Right,
1910. In Cuba, they started with a movement. There was a Cantineros movement. That is the style of bartending that it was pretty much from the Spanish who immigrated to Cuba,
right,
and it's a very elegant, professional style of bartending with a lot of techniques when they make the cocktail. So when cantinero make the cocktail, they just not dress well. They are very technique oriented, and elegant,
right,
and mostly the hospitality. They focus in hospitality, how to make people happy, and how to involve people in the show.
right,
Even cantineros are part of the show as well. I mean,
right.
not everybody, but pretty much a good cantinero, they like to be part of the show, and
Well, I don't blame them at all. So now, but the Cantinero movement starts in Cuba, like post Prohibition, right?
no, even before.
It was before.
It was early 1900,
Okay.
I mean, since late 1800, but it was not a
Mhm.
real big thing. Everything was, I can say, after 1914.
Okay.
1914, 1918, it was when the real Continental movement started, and then got bigger after 1924, when the Cantineros Association in Cuba first started in 1924. So is when the first association of bartending in the world. It was the Cantineros Club in Cuba.
Wow, which is that's a phenomenal story. So I'm going to take a second here. So let's see if we can turn on the light again. So give me a second. Uh, our first podcast, not our last.
And Cantinero style, can I keep talking? Cantinero style is the style we have here at La Trova, and it is something that is something that identify La Trova mostly. It's when people come to La Trova, of course we have some good drinks and food and music, but what makes us really different from others is a cantinero style. All the bartenders here are cantineros. They perform and they dress like a cantinero, that are like a real professional bartender. So we are not just bartenders; we are cantineros. It's another level.
Well,
Not better, different
right.
style.
We're gonna take the sexy lighting. We're gonna go with it. So we're not gonna let it stop us. But you're here in the heart of Little Havana. And right down the street is a place called El Titan de Bronce,
Uh huh.
which is a little cigar factory. It's been here since 1995. All right, so it's a family.
1995.
Yeah, so it's family owned. It is the home factory of Willie Herrera's family.
Hmm.
So they do things. Their style of cigar making is very Cuban style.
Hmm.
So the style of rolling, they use level 9 rollers from Cuba that have worked at all the top factories. So they come work here. Only the top quality and the style of cigar making is el entubado, right? The style of the cigar rolling is entubado versus a ponchero or bunching or accordion or Lieberman machine. So their style goes back to Cuba. So a lot of the cigars that they used to make for Drew Estate or still do, that Willie Herrera, our master blender, makes, are made in that style, and they have their unique couple of different leaves and blends. So
Actually, one of my favorite cigars is Herrera Esteli, Herrera Esteli Habano,
Habano.
and Lancero as
Right,
well.
and I know, and I love, you know me, I love Lanceros.
Yeah.
The Miami is made
Miami, yeah,
at
as well.
Titan.
Yep.
So for us, it's always a point of pride when we're talking about our homegrown place that's done so well, and they do stuff for some really really great other brands, but they're right here on the corner, but they're small, so their production extremely high quality, small amounts,
Yep.
and then they have to, you have to measure that out. You want to produce as much as you can, but it's very, very, very hard to do that when you have a
A
very
good
small
quality.
space,
Yeah.
good quality, and then after every day, there is a master that reviewing everybody, checking everybody's output, because even then, quality control is key. Quality control is key. We can do the same things as great as we want to, but somebody needs to check it. So that's part of coming down here. So if you're going to be here, you can stop in. You can come to La Trova afterwards, and there's a little secret spot. They may let you smoke a cigar up front or someplace in the back, and you can have
In the patio here.
yeah, exactly. So Julito, let's it's I'm a little parched now. It's time for a drink. So let's talk about what we're gonna drink today.
Look what we have.
So, listen, I'm going to do something. I'm going to try. This is the first podcast with Mitch, so I'm going to try something new. So let's see if this works. If you guys want to know what a mojito is, just watch this.
Then I'm going to add like a 8 to 10 milliliters. Perfect. Then again the malt. Ready? Just a little bit. Just need to little oil, freshener for the mint. In most of the places they do like the broken the mint, and that is wrong. Then 2 ounces of white rum. You can use any white rum. In our case, we use for the Caña 4, and also you can use a Bacardi Superior. Then we use a cute clock soda. It's very nice clock soda. Whisher. Because you need, all these ingredients to bring to shop the down. Then and as a garnish, the garnish is a millet, and this one is very important. 2 small dashes of Angostura bitter, 2 unique, complete the mojito. So here we had La Trova Mojito. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All right, so we're back. That's your house mojito here at La Trova. And first of all, I'm gonna say cheers to you. Salud.
Salud. Cheers.
It's great being together. This is a perfect drink on a hot day. You can have many, many, many mojitos. So one thing we do know, mojito is an endemic cocktail from Cuba.
Yes.
So we got to start with possibly maybe the first of the many cocktails that come from Cuba.
Probably
Probably.
was the first one.
Because I did my research, and he said it was like, look, there's kind of 2 ideas that come into play here, and I want you to tell me your ideas of. So the first one is the pirate theory. So we go to El Drake, Sir Francis Drake. The pirate is sieging Havana, La Habana.
Mhm.
Said that sort of weird way.
Havana.
La Habana. So he was after actually some Aztec gold that had left port. There was more gold in the city of Havana. They had already captured the gold, so he got a little greedy and was waiting outside Havana to see if maybe instead of waiting for a ship to come out, because they wouldn't send any more ships until they had protection, that he could raid the city of Havana and take the gold and then leave. So as a good pirate does. So This is about 1566 or so. Um, but the crew gets sick, so they need they're getting sick with dysentery and with scurvy. Those are the two things that most people that live at sea have, lack of citrus, right?
Hmm.
So they send a party in to deal with some natives that they were trying to give them aguardiente, some lime, probably some sugar. That's debatable, but um,
Honey. Yeah,
and
something.
honey,
Yeah.
right? A sweetener of some sort,
Yeah.
which was probably cane, melaza
Yeah.
de caña,
Yeah.
which is cane honey. But when we read it in books where it's been trans honey, but it's probably cane honey, derivative of molasses, as we're building molasses. So, um, anyway, it cures them more than likely just drinking some lime and el aguardiente, because you can imagine how good it was at that time. Eso te limpia todo, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That'll cure
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill you, it'll cure you. Uh, so from that point on, but of course, later on in Havana, there's a cholera outbreak. And our famous writer says, un draquecito para curar.
That was in 1800.
1800. So
Yep.
already 300 years
Yeah.
later, they're referring to this cocktail, to this blend of aguardiente, or what we would call white rum, mint, lime, sugar, or some sort of sweetening agent. So all these four ingredients of the key to a
Yep.
mojito are being used. And then the other one is actually what we call the potential that slaves are the ones that invented, right? What are the ready ingredients of having of making sugar on the island? Because I think we can trace back sugar in Cuba to about 1506. The first time that 1506 in Santo Domingo they bring sugar. By 1511, I think Diego Velázquez brings it to Cuba, and they start planting with the mills, because they already brought mills to Santo Domingo. So they bring the sugar mills to Cuba, and it's automatic. Put people to work.
Exactly.
And so, what would have been the rawest ingredients take from that production would have been aguardiente, right? Figuring out how to make rum before rum production is really big, because you're making sugar first,
Uh huh.
and then you make that taste good at all. Because I could only imagine what rum tastes like. So when you guys get all the stories of the rum and the pirates, and you could imagine how bad this stuff was.
It was. It
You
was.
know,
It was really bad.
and so also when we're looking at history, we're looking at the words like guarapo, and guarapo to us is cane juice, right? So, but guarapo also for was another use was aguardiente,
Hmm.
right? And guarapo, it was meant that it was probably the first iteration of rum. Could have been a first run, not a second run, or who knows,
The first one. Yeah.
So in the translations, we get all these different potential histories of what a mojito can be. But we do know rum, lime, minted sugar,
Mint and sugar
you
and a
know,
little bit of water.
and some sort of water for
Yeah.
dilution, because you could only imagine what this tasted like um, 500 years ago. It probably isn't as beautiful as it is today. So what do you think, man? Where do you think the truth is?
I think the Francis Drake story is true. Yeah, Francis Drake, he was doing kind of that kind of mix here in the Caribbean. Like aguardiente,
Right,
tafia or ratafia,
ratafia.
the,
Right.
the really bad rum they were making at that time with mint, sugar, lime, sugar, or any kind of
Or
honey,
honey.
and a little bit of water, no ice, and that's the beginning of that kind of mix,
Mhm.
even before the mint julep.
Right.
But then came the mint julep at the end of 1700,
Right.
but that was in the States,
In the
not in
States,
Cuba.
not in Cuba. Right.
In Cuba, it was some people mentioned the draquecito, like a little drake or little drake, that it was they were making it in Havana mid 1800. But at the end of 1800, they were making mojo de ron. So yeah, it was not at that time draquecito. It
Right.
was mojo de ron. The mojo de ron is in Cuba. Mojo is when you mix a lot of things to marinate
To
the
marinate.
meat.
Yeah.
So in this case, it is a mojo de ron because they were doing it with citrus, everything, mint with rum. So it was mojo de ron. It was at the end of 1800. Then at the beginning of 1900 in Havana, close to Playa La Concha, close to Havana, they were making some mojito criollo. So mojo de draque,
Drake.
draquecito, mojo
Mojo
de
de ron.
ron, mojito criollo. So mojito criollo is 1910, 1910, 1915. In those 5 years, they were making mojo criollo or mojito criollo in La Concha
Right.
Beach, close to Havana. That was the first time the mojito was made as a mojito,
Mojito.
mojito criollo,
Right.
with Angostura bitters on top.
Right. And that's something that I want to talk about because we're going to go back and talk about the video. So the first thing we saw in the video is walk us through how you make a mojito, and it's guys, it's really really simple. And I'll put the recipe up in the chat later. But first thing goes into the glass, a little bit of sugar,
Sugar, white sugar,
white sugar.
not simple syrup. I mean, you can make it with simple. It's not bad, but I prefer Cuban cocktail like daiquiri and mojito to use white
Sugar.
sugar, much better, and it's the traditional way and the classic way.
Right. So there's a time when you can cut a corner and innovate, but if you're gonna do something in the classic style, it's got to be white sugar. And can you use like the super fine sugar too, or no? The powdered sugar,
No, the white
the
white sugar,
white granulated
refined
sugar.
white granulated sugar,
Right.
refined,
So
not powder.
so then we add the lime.
Lime, and we dissolve.
Right. You let it sit for a minute so it doesn't so at least a little bit gets to break down.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. You can stir at the
Mhm.
moment a little bit to dissolve the sugar with the
Right.
lime. Yeah,
And the next thing goes in
mint,
is the mint.
mint.
So, I mean, I know there's no exact science, but it's how many leaves, how many.
It's depending the size of the leaf, but it's between 8 and 10.
Okay.
8 and 10 leaves. Yeah, depending the size, but yeah, 8 and 10.
Um, so, and then what we do is now comes the muddle, right?
Yeah, a little
So
bit, very gentle,
very gentle, right? Because
very gentle.
you're not trying to grind this. You're
No,
trying
you're
to
not breaking the leaves. You're pressing the leaf to release the aroma, the mint aroma into the drink,
Right.
but not breaking the mint. You cannot break it.
excellent. So, next thing,
Ice.
ice, right? And what type of glass is this for everybody?
That one is
Say
highball or Collins.
highball Collins, 8 to 11 ounces, give or
Eight,
take.
8 to 10.
8 to 10. Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm not bad, Julio.
Yeah, good.
I'm
You're
off by
good.
enough.
You're a
So I was
bartender.
off by a year. I was
You're a
off by an ounce.
bartender. You're a bartender.
And then so now the secret ingredient,
Rum.
we have to use rum. And are you partial to any rum?
No, but it should be a good white rum.
Right.
A good white rum, but not any particular. A good white rum is perfect for mojito.
Fantastic. So, and then now we top it off with some club soda,
Club soda.
and now
Stir.
stir, right? Because and you want to stir it like to bring everything up from the bottom.
Yep.
So you're not really just stirring around; you're stirring to bring things up and bring it in
Yeah.
to mix things from the top to the bottom,
Exactly.
bottom to the top, right? And then finally, you do the mint first,
The mint, the stir,
right?
the plastic stir,
And then
and bitters.
and in our Angostura,
Angostura, yeah.
Angostura bitters.
A dash.
So a dash.
That
because
one
if we
is-
use a lot more,
No.
now it's Queen's Park Squizzle, right? Which is one of my favorite drinks too. But I think this is like, you go anywhere and you can. There's so many places that you can come to. in Little Havana, and you can have, unfortunately, a bad experience with a
Yes.
cocktail. But I know here, you're gonna get the best mojito in Little Havana, and top six in the United States. And I don't think anybody in the in
Top 6 bars, but it's the best mojito in the United States. I
yeah,
can't, in the world,
that's
in the whole world. No,
that's
no doubt,
because
no
I
doubt
was
about
about to
it.
say, like, there's nobody in the top five or the other top 27 is gonna make a
No, no.
better mojito than this.
I can tell you something. Mojito is the most popular drink in Cuba. It's the most popular drink probably in the whole world. It's the most selling drink in the world, and I think the most popular with the margarita, pina colada, and Bloody Mary. For years, mojito, pina colada, Bloody
Mhm.
Mary, and margarita.
Right,
It's been the most selling and most popular drinks ever. In Cuba, mojito is the most popular, not the
right,
daiquiri, but the daiquiri is my favorite,
right.
and in La Trova as well. But in La Trova, mojito is the top selling since day one, top selling by far, and the most popular cocktail. But we make it the classic way. But let me tell you something. For 3 years in a row, we have won best mojito in Miami. But I have no doubt that we have the best mojito in the United States and in the
Absolutely,
world. But
absolutely.
if we make the best mojito in Miami, it should be the best mojito
Yeah.
ever. Because everywhere I go, I try the mojito. Is forget about it.
Well, listen,
Forget about
it's
it.
something. The toughest thing to do when it comes to cocktails is to do something simple and perfect.
Classic. It's
Be- be-
authentic. I mean, I didn't create this. This is the classic,
right,
but we make it right. The class. I mean, perfect.
right. It's
It's not
it,
any science
it's
behind it.
the quality of your lime
Yep.
juice,
Yeah.
the quality of the rum that you're using. Um,
Florida sugar, Domino's.
Florida.
Florida sugar.
No, we'll talk about that. So listen, let's go back. I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that affected sugar production was, sugar comes to the New World in the 1500s, the
Yeah.
early
Yeah. Uh huh.
1500s. It's not endemic to the New World.
No,
It's
it's
not known,
not.
but it comes to us because of los moros, right? The Moors. The Moors trade through the Middle East and into Asia, bring sugar cane to all the way to Spain. In Columbus's third voyage, they bring sugar cane. They
Sugar.
plant it here,
Yeah.
but here comes the big argument. It's the same as Cuban seed tobacco. If you grow Cuban seed tobacco in different parts of the world,
They're not the same.
it's not the same.
No.
It's the same family, but it's different.
Terroir.
The terroir. So the sugar cane in the New World is very, very rich, and very different from the sugar cane in
Yeah.
other places
Yeah.
where the birthplace of rum, I mean, you could say, is Arak. Made in the Philippines and made in the Middle East at the same time, where the distillation of sugar compounds,
Yeah.
right? So, but in the New World, it's a very different product.
It
It's
is.
a very different
But
product.
the most of the bars, the most of the bars around the world, they use simple syrup. Simple syrup is sugar and water. So sugar and water is not the same as sugar. Sugar is sugar. When you
Right.
mix sugar and water, you add in water to the drink, and it's a
Right.
lot. But more than that, the most of the country I've been making mojitos, they use beet sugar. It's not sugar
It's
cane
not sugarcane
sugar.
sugar, right?
Is beet sugar is not the same. The flavor is not the same, and the it's not the same
Right.
mojito.
The actual,
So
if you were to dissolve them and compare the bricks, they're very different between
different
beet sugar
and sugar
and
cane.
sugarcane sugar. And we have the same strain of sugar from Cuba
Yep.
that was brought into the United States to beat the sugar embargo back at the time, and we grow it south of
Florida.
uh, right kind of in the middle,
Uh huh.
south of Lake Okeechobee.
Hmm.
Very rich soil, very dark, very rich. That sugar, which is where domino sugar comes from,
Hmm.
um, it's expensive compared to beet sugar, which is made in other places like Louisiana, but that sugar very high quality, one of the highest bricks value in sugar production. Because if it has a lot of bricks, you can make a lot of sugar from its production.
Yeah.
So there's your 2 minutes, and then we're going to talk about like uh, Cuban. Well, let's save that for another podcast. But we'll talk about the how Cuban seed tobacco spreads across the world, because that's really such a fascinating piece of history. And it's really about the 1700s, which is very interesting because one of the first industries in Cuba was tobacco, along with sugar. But in the 1700s, the popularity of sugar becomes so big that even one writer says it's the end of the world for tobacco makers, because they were leaving tobacco production to go into sugar
In the sugar
production.
production.
But that obviously did not happen to the cigar industry in Cuba. It stuck around for another great 200 plus years. So, but we'll talk about that next time. So, Julito, listen, man, I've got a lovely selection of El Titan that I wish the light was on, but we're gonna go smoke one of these guys a little bit later.
I would love it.
And one of the beauty things that I love about these cigars is, hey, there we go. So. So is that again, made it at Titan Neuronce, and you've got everything from Ecuadorian Connecticut Corojo wrapper to a little Brazilian, probably Matafina wrapper as well. Connecticut. So there's a variety in here. So we're going to have a good time with these, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But Julito, I'm going to say thank you
Absolutely.
for sitting with me on my first independent podcast, and I'm going to thank everybody that tuned in and listened to us talk about cocktail, the Mojito cocktail, and who could think that we could talk for 30 minutes about the Mojito cocktail? But
Mojito is amazing. I mean, when you try that one, it's amazing. You know how many flavors you can find in one cocktail? Rum, a good rum, mint, sugar, lime, soda, refreshing. We are in Miami, in Cuba, everywhere,
Exactly.
refreshing. It's very hot, mojito. I mean, that one is, when you make it right, it's one of the most complete cocktail ever created.
And if you have scurvy or dysentery, or you're on a ship with Sir Francis Drake planning the next invasion of Cuba, have a mojito. It'll keep you nice and healthy. And listen, for Leaf and Dram, it's National Daiquiri Day, so I've got to get busy.
Me
You've
too.
got to get busy, and we'll talk about the daiquiri next time, because that's its own beautiful history.
Absolutely,
All right.
yeah.
So we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon, and thank you so much.
Can't wait to have one of these
Oh,
now.
let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Let's go.